America wakes up to an economic crisis. The stock market crashes over 330 points. Panic spreads, businesses scramble, and 56% of Americans disapprove of how Trump is handling the economy. Meanwhile, Europe strikes back, launching a 26 billion euros counterattack on tariffs.
The European Union must act to protect consumers and business. The countermeasures we take today are strong but proportionate. As the United States are applying tariffs worth $28 billion, we are responding with countermeasures worth 26 billion euros. This matches the economic scope of the tariffs of the United States.
The U.S. Department of Education is slashing nearly 50% of its workforce, leaving millions of students at risk. But while all of this unfolds, what is Donald Trump doing? Before we dive into this shocking turn of events, subscribe now to stay updated on global developments that impact us all. As investors desperately look to the White House for a response, does Trump unveil a strategy? The answer is no. Instead of presenting an economic plan, Trump logs into social media. And what does he do? He praises Elon Musk. Wow, people love Elon, a great patriot, Trump posts, completely ignoring the financial crisis. But it doesn't stop there. Trump hosts a Tesla PR event at the White House while the market is crashing. The question remains, why is Trump focused on Elon Musk at this moment? Is this a deliberate distraction from the real economic meltdown? Meanwhile, the world isn't staying silent. Trump's tariff war is backfiring, and global leaders are striking back. Europe retaliates. The European Union announces a $26 billion tariff package against the United States. Canada refuses to back down. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau makes it clear, we will take strong measures to protect our economy. Major CEOs are in panic mode, flooding the White House with calls. Even Trump's own economic advisors are unsure where his policies are leading. Are these tariffs truly protecting the U.S., or are they isolating America from the global market? Shocking twist, Trump's allies propose a radical idea, annexing Canada. Yes, you heard that right. Make Canada the 51st state. Howard Lutnick, a close Trump advisor, publicly states, if we want economic unity, we should absorb Canada into the U.S. Canada immediately fires back. Prime Minister Trudeau responds, Canada is an independent nation. We will never accept coercion. Is this a real economic strategy, or just another desperate attempt to shift attention from the growing crisis? Meanwhile, American consumers are paying the price. Food, gas, and essential goods are skyrocketing in cost. The U.S. Department of Education is gutting nearly 50% of its workforce. Schools are facing teacher shortages and severe budget cuts. A reporter confronts a Republican senator. Who will protect disabled students if education funding is slashed? The senator's response? The states will handle it. But do states even have the budget to absorb these cuts? Is this a real solution, or just the White House avoiding responsibility? Economic experts are speaking out. A top economist on CNBC declares Trump's policies are not a strategy. This is complete chaos. Can the U.S. economy survive this growing uncertainty, or is America headed toward financial disaster? This story is far from over. Stay tuned. Things are about to get even more intense. Meanwhile, while America hesitates, Canada and Europe take action. Trudeau just announced a $5 billion aid package for Ukraine, funded by seized Russian assets.
Canada stands at the ready to work with our partners around the world to provide Ukraine the security it needs for the peace to last, allowing it to recover, rebuild, and prosper.
Trudeau says Canada will also provide Ukraine with $5 billion in funds from seized Russian assets. He called again for Kyiv to have a direct role in negotiations for a possible end to the war, as European leaders expressed dismay at Washington holding talks with Moscow.
We must do everything in our power to enable Ukraine to secure a just and lasting peace, a peace that cannot be achieved without Ukrainians at the table. That is precisely what Canada is focused on.
The U.S., on the other hand, just slashed Ukraine aid by over 80%. And Canada isn't stopping there. They are sending 25 battle-ready armored vehicles, deploying advanced air defense radars, and providing high-tech encrypted communications. Trudeau declares, Russia's assets won't fund war, they will fund Ukraine's defense. This isn't just about aid. Canada is setting a historic precedent. If other nations follow suit, hundreds of billions could be redirected into Ukraine. NATO leadership shifting. Game changer: NATO's leadership is shifting. Europe isn't waiting on America anymore. Germany is finalizing an $8 billion military aid package. France is sending long-range missiles and armed drones. Spain is deploying Patriot missile systems and Leopard tanks. Finnish President Alexander Stubb declares, "Russia doesn't decide NATO's future, we do." For the past 75 years, NATO has been US-led, but now the EU is building its own defense force, stepping away from US influence. Could this mark the beginning of a Europe-led NATO? Washington is sending a message. America is stepping back. In 2022, the US sent $48 billion in military aid to Ukraine. In 2024 to 2025, that number has dropped to just $8 billion, an 80% cut. And US allies, they're frustrated. French President Emmanuel Macron: "Europe can't wait for America. Ukraine needs help now." If Europe continues leading, NATO may start making decisions without US approval. Is America losing its influence? While America hesitates, Russia and China are taking advantage. Russia is escalating attacks in eastern Ukraine, sensing US hesitation. China is expanding its trade deals with Europe and Latin America, filling the economic gap the US is leaving behind. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg warns, "We can't rely on America forever." Could the new world order be forming without the United States? And then, Trump makes his most outrageous statement yet. Canada could become the 51st state. How would you react if your country was suddenly targeted for annexation? Is this just political bluster, or is it a serious threat to Canada's sovereignty? Canada isn't waiting to find out. A national movement has erupted, boycotting American goods in response. During a December 2024 meeting at Mar-a-Lago, Trump suggested that Canada should join the US as two separate states, one conservative, one liberal. Prime Minister Trudeau responded immediately, "Canada will never be the 51st state." Now, entire provinces like Quebec and Nova Scotia are fighting back, pulling American-made products from their shelves. This is no longer just a trade war. This is about national sovereignty. What happens next? Will America lose its influence over NATO? Will Canada and Europe continue stepping up while the United States pulls back? And could Trump's statements actually push Canada further away from its closest ally? Stay tuned, because this story isn't over yet. Subscribe now to stay updated on the next big developments.